What if tomorrow morning, every bee on Earth disappeared? No buzzing, no movement, just silence. At first, nothing looks different. Flowers still bloom, trees still stand, life feels normal. But inside the system, something has already started breaking. Because bees are responsible for pollinating a huge part of the food we eat. Without them, crops begin to fail. Food becomes expensive. Some foods disappear. And this doesn't take decades. It starts within a few years. And the scariest part? This is not a theory. It has already begun.
If bees disappeared from Earth, the change would not happen suddenly. There would be no explosion, no major disaster, and no immediate panic. In the beginning, everything would look normal. Plants would still grow, flowers would still bloom, and food would still be available in markets. But an important natural process would already start to break. Pollination, which is the transfer of pollen from one flower to another, would begin to decline. Bees play a major role in this process, and without them, many plants cannot reproduce properly. In the first year, the impact would be small but real. Farmers would start noticing that their crops are producing less than before. Fruits and vegetables would still grow, but in smaller quantities. Some plants would produce fewer seeds, and some fruits would not develop properly. This is because pollination would be incomplete. Wind and other insects can help a little, but they are not as efficient as bees. Bees visit thousands of flowers every day and transfer pollen in a very accurate way, which makes them one of the most effective pollinators on Earth. By the second year, the problem would become more visible. Crops like almonds, apples, strawberries, and sunflowers would show a clear drop in production. Almond farming would be one of the hardest hit industries because it depends almost completely on bees. Apple fruits would become smaller and fewer. Strawberries would lose their proper shape. Farmers would start losing money, and food supply would begin to decrease. As production decreases, prices would increase. Fruits, nuts, and vegetables would become more expensive. Items like almonds, coffee, chocolate, and cooking oils would start becoming less available. This would affect not only consumers, but also industries that depend on these products. Even dairy production would be affected, because animals like cows depend on crops such as alfalfa, which also require pollination. Over time, people would start changing their diets. Since many nutritious foods depend on bees, people would rely more on staple crops like rice, wheat, and corn. These crops can grow without bees, but they do not provide all the nutrients the human body needs. Fruits, nuts, and vegetables are important sources of vitamins, minerals, and healthy fats. Without them, people may still get enough calories, but their overall nutrition would become weaker. This could lead to long-term health problems such as lower immunity, fatigue, and higher risk of diseases. The impact would not be limited to human food systems. Natural ecosystems would also be affected. Many wild plants depend on bees for reproduction. Some plants are very specific and can only be pollinated by certain types of bees. If those bees disappear, those plants cannot reproduce at all. Over time, these plants would start to disappear from the environment. As plant populations decline, animals that depend on those plants would also be affected. Insects that feed on nectar would lose their food source. Birds that eat insects would decline. Herbivores would lose access to certain plants, and predators would be affected as their prey becomes less available. This creates a chain reaction across the ecosystem, leading to a gradual decline in biodiversity. Bees are highly efficient pollinators because of their structure and behavior. There are more than 20,000 species of bees, and many of them have developed special ways to collect and transfer pollen. Some bees have hair-like structures on their bodies that help them carry pollen easily. Bumblebees use a technique called buzz pollination, where they vibrate flowers to release pollen. Certain crops, like tomatoes, depend on this method and cannot reproduce properly without it. Bees also have strong navigation and communication abilities. They can detect ultraviolet patterns on flowers, which guide them directly to nectar. They can also remember the location of food sources and share that information with other bees. This allows them to pollinate plants quickly and efficiently. These natural abilities are very difficult to replace with machines or human effort. In response to the decline of bees, humans would try to find alternatives. In some places, manual pollination is already being practiced. Workers use brushes or tools to transfer pollen from one flower to another. However, this process is very slow and requires a lot of labor. It is not practical for large-scale farming. Scientists are also working on robotic pollinators, but these machines are still in early stages and cannot match the speed and efficiency of bees. The environmental impact would also increase over time. Many plants that depend on pollination also play a role in maintaining ecosystems. Some of them help in absorbing carbon dioxide from the atmosphere. As these plants decline, ecosystems may become less stable and less effective in controlling environmental changes. This could contribute to larger environmental problems. Right now, this situation is not just a possibility for the future. Bee populations are already declining in many parts of the world. There are several reasons for this. Pesticides used in farming can harm bees by affecting their nervous system. This can make it difficult for them to navigate and return to their hives. Climate change is also affecting bees by changing the timing of flowering seasons. If flowers bloom earlier or later than usual, bees may not be active at the right time. Habitat loss is another major problem. As cities expand and forests are cleared, bees lose the spaces where they can live and find food. Parasites and diseases also play a role. One example is the varroa mite, which attacks bees and spreads infections within colonies. These factors together weaken bee populations and reduce their chances of survival. One of the most concerning issues is colony collapse disorder. In this situation, worker bees suddenly disappear from the hive, leaving behind the queen and young bees. The exact cause is not fully known, but it is believed to be due to a combination of stress factors like pesticides, disease, and environmental changes. Even though the situation is serious, it is still possible to improve it. Studies have shown that bee populations can recover if the right conditions are provided. Planting a variety of flowers can give bees a steady source of food. Reducing the use of harmful chemicals can improve their survival rate. Protecting natural habitats can give them safe places to live and reproduce. Even small actions can make a difference. Gardens, parks, and green spaces can support bee populations if they contain the right plants. When these efforts are combined across many areas, they can help stabilize bee populations over time. In conclusion, the disappearance of bees would not cause an immediate collapse, but it would lead to a gradual and serious decline in food production, nutrition, and ecosystem stability. It would affect agriculture, wildlife, and human health over time. Bees play a critical role in maintaining balance in nature, and their loss would have long-term consequences that would be difficult to reverse. And that was the story of bees. Not just a glimpse, but a journey through time. from the very beginning to where we stand today. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the Nature's Diary for more amazing stories of our world. See you next time.